All right. Seems to be working. Oh, shoot. All right. I had to change the. Okay, there it is. So annoying when people do that, right? They start their streams and they haven't gotten their stuff together. But I'm very new to this, so I don't know how to do it. Anyway, so Greenest in Flames took about it's about 3 sessions to do Greenest in Flames. So that was 3 sessions for a chapter. It'll be interesting to see how that happens. They're level 2, and Greenest is behind us. We have encountered the rear guard. No, actually, we encountered the stragglers with some rock formations, what appeared to be volcanic rock boulders had been sculpted into heads of some sort. They weren't really curious about that. So I think I have to tease them a little bit more about how I'm using terrain, because I think that they think it's just there to look pretty. And it is there just to look pretty, but I don't think they'll appreciate it unless it has meaning for them, right? And I think that's probably the right way to go about it, because I like making terrain. Terrain is fun to make. It's coming up with it and all that type of stuff. But it's not for the dungeon master. The dungeon master is creating a world for their players to play in. And if you create something, it should give them something more to do. And I just don't think that they thought that. So want to make sure that they know. And so, how do they know something? You have to tell them. Now, you could tell them by just telling them, and you could tell them by telling and showing them. And that's what I'd like to do. And I think I wasn't super effective at that. I had all these things, and I didn't make hints. You have to give hints, give hints regarding secrets, right, of terrain. Now, I know this camera is upside down for you, and because this channel is mostly really about this, is sort of creating working on the campaign itself. I have to fix this. I realize I have to fix this. I have to. How do I turn it around? I don't know. I can't do it tonight. But I do want to have this conversation. So, but I do realize it's a problem. Anyway, so I had all these heads because they could be seen. There was a whole mythology and stuff like that. And they just said, oh, they're just cool terrain pieces. And basically, I have to tell them. There's something there. They're like, oh, is there something to it? And they don't want me to say, what do you mean? It's so cool. What does it need to be? So I need to say, hey, teach them in a way that, hey, if you ask questions about the terrain, I will give you answers. And some of them will be just by you seeing them on the terrain, you will be seeing them in world. So, and I will tell you like, hey, is that particular detail, is that canon? Is that in the world? Am I actually seeing that next to that tree? And to be honest with you, because sometimes you reuse things and you create, whatever. So sometimes that'll be the answer to that question will be no. That's meaningless. That doesn't exist. It's just for, and which is fine, which is totally fine. But sometimes, especially when the piece is new and you see it for the first time, you should inquire if you see something. But again, I have to train them. Train PCs, player characters, to know to ask questions about do I see what I see on this? So you just do it through DM speak, or maybe you could have an NPC comment on something they see on the terrain. That's actually a nicer way to do it, right? Have the NPC see it, or have something in the world like, refer to it. You see so-and-so, and they look at like perception check. And like, oh, I could do a perception check to see that? Yes. What if I could just see it because there it is? Well, then you see it. You don't have to do a perception check. Is that actually there? And I will tell you, like, yes or no. Yes, it's there. No, it's not there. But there's no check because they looked at the terrain piece and they took that clue. So we're giving clues if they want to take them. If they don't want to take them, if they want to do something else, that is fine, right? So I think, but people liked him. I think it was engaging. It creates a different thing for combat because I think we could have combat with and without the terrain, but it gives it a little bit bigger. Like, oh, we have this thing now. The interesting thing about they just pretty much walked up into the stragglers, right? The small band of enemies. Again, the spoilers for Tyranny of Dragons, the campaign setting. If you're going to be a player in it, my players don't watch this. Players who are people who want to play or not be spoiled how it unfolds, this channel is not for you. This is for people who are okay with that, who might be DMs or new DMs that aren't sad if they know what happens in Tyranny of Dragons. It really doesn't even matter what happens in Tyranny of Dragons. It's what do you do with the material? I see so many times people complaining when these books come out that there's not enough in them and they don't like them and it doesn't hold together and you have to fill in all the holes. That's what a proper, in my opinion, my humble opinion, book should do. It should give you a roadmap, but you have to flesh it out with your own thing. It's like, why give you more to fill up everything? It takes it out of the DM. Then it gives the DM to to do. That is not true. I'm kidding when I say that, but it would be laughable. But it's part of the game. And so, people don't like it. They don't like it. I like Tyranny of Dragons because it's completely broken. It says I'm linear and I'm broken, and it needs a lot of work. And I think it's brilliant. So one of the main reasons why I like it, which I selected it over other ones, the main reason was Tyranny of Dragons jumps all over the Sword Coast. You're in many different locations and locales. You're, you know, the geography of the Sword Coast. You visit a lot of different places. And the other ones were like, oh, I'm in hell. Oh, I'm in the Underdark. Oh, it's really cold. It's frozen up here. I'm in the jungle. They're like these single setting places. And I guess you could say Tyranny of Dragon is single setting as far as the entire map of the Sword Coast. And not the entire map, but you do jump all around it. You hit, again, spoilers, spoiler. You hit Baldur's Gate, you hit Waterdeep. Okay, so two of the most famous, obviously, Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep. Baldur's Gate, you don't really do too much there, but doesn't mean you can't come back. When you start the campaign, you're very close to Candlekeep, and so Candlekeep is the largest and most fabulous library in all of Faerun. That is a castle fortress library. It's really cool. And there's actually a book of one-shots surrounding Candlekeep that I have and will be incorporated because there's Mishigas happening in Candlekeep, unbeknownst to but that's happening in the Forgotten Realms where I'm playing, and so I could go to Candlekeep. It's right in the neighborhood of Greenest where the campaign starts. There's all sorts of things. The Mirror of Dead Men, and then you go further east to certain places. So less memorable places, but you go all over the place. Now, does it go to the Underdark? No. Do I have ways of getting to the Underdark? Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. I don't know how I'm going to get to the Underdark. I had some stuff planned and an encounter in the Troll Claws, which is not in the book, that I've been working on. It's simple sort of a thing, but it's combat, but it's it's more complicated. The combat, it's not about who wins in the combat. It's about what do you do, and as far as RP during the battle. The RP is actually more important than the physical battle, and they'll have to do both at the same time. And it will be interesting to see how they do it, because if they do it in some ways, there'll be immense benefits of making things easier for them. But perhaps they want to do it a different way. So anyway, there's a lot there. So yes, in that sort of encounter, there is a glimpse to the Underdark, and maybe they'll follow that up, and maybe they won't. And maybe I do want a visit to the Underdark at some point. I've actually already started buying objects in the creation, the plants and weirdness, the glowing weirdness of the Underdark. But I haven't gotten there yet. That might be in the second half. I don't know. But the point being, you visit the geography of the Sword Coast. You can go in the Underdark. You do actually go up into the spine of the world and around there. So you do go up there, which is cool. Interdimensional, no, nothing interdimensional. Well, I guess you can't. Actually, that's not true, because you're bringing Tiamat in, which inherently deals with devils, right? And whenever there's a devil that's trying to do something, perhaps there's a demon trying to screw him up, right? So there's some stuff there. Will we get to Sigil? I don't think so. My next campaign, after I complete this one, will be centered in Sigil. I have all the Sigil stuff that came out in 5e, the Planescape stuff, which I will totally absolutely connect that to Forgotten Realms as being one of the parts of that same thing. So there's multiverse shit. Um, but I wanted to do sort of grounded, sword coast, running around, swords, capes stuff, and then for my second campaign, do the wacky stuff. Cat, do you want to go out? The cat wants to go out. I'll let her out. Cat, you want to go? I'm. Who knows when a chat will come in one of these days. Anyway, we're gonna do it with or without that stuff. Um, so so I like the fact that this one allowed us to jump around different places, different um, biomes, if you would, speak in a Minecraft sort of way. So that's one of the reasons I chose it. And the Underdark is certainly a place to go, and you never know. And devil places. So terrain pieces, yeah. I mean, this is basically what I'm learning from running. I think it was what was it, the fourth session? Let's see, session. No, it's the fourth session. Fourth session. Oh, session 3. It was session 3. It wasn't session 4. It was session 3 because 0 was 0, and then we 1, 2, and 3. So you could say session 4. Anyway, session 3 officially. Yeah, so they went to the stragglers. We hit up the stragglers. They interacted with them. I had some coats that the stragglers had pilfered off a downed wagon, and they were pretty low lying. They didn't earn those coats, that type of thing. They ended up being killed. The coats taken, and then the players walked up to the rear guard, just walking normal, right? Just completely like, let's pretend that we're part of the cult. We're wearing our jackets. We're coming in, and there's nothing to see here. Let us pass. And I was gonna, and they were. I'm like, I was gonna let them do it. I had all this terrain made. I had hills. I had the rock heads. I don't have them here. The boulder rock heads as terrain, and hills as terrain, and this whole head thing. Oh, actually, well, I have that, but I don't want to get up because I'm lazy. I'll put something up later for people who actually watch this. Anyway, so I had all this terrain and laid it out. I had cobalt patrol patterns and that type of thing, and they just waltzed in there, and I would have let them absolutely do it. They're waltzing in. That's basically the text of the module, is that if they look like they know where they're going and they're just going confidently, you actually can get past this. Or you get seen, and then whatever. So it gives you ways to pretend to be the cult. But the one thing that, and this is basically why I think I put the cults or the coats out there, you weren't supposed to display any, as far as the cult in world was thinking. The cult was thinking you do not wear cult stuff on raids, and you put your cult stuff, all your dragon apparel on after you get back to the camp, unless you're the rear guard, right? The rear guard are cultists, and they're like, we're cultists. We're not. We don't have anything to do the raids. We don't do it. We didn't do that. So they're cultists, and so if you walk up with cultist coats on, you're violating orders. And so maybe there is a reason why you're doing that. And so we're not going to I didn't launch into combat instantly because I didn't think that was fair. I was sort of setting up like an ambush type of thing, but they were like not going past the line where I was going to jump into, they're like, there's an overcropping there. We don't want to go near that. And so they hung back a little bit. And that was sort of my trigger point. And then I'm thinking, what would actually happen in that scene? If the guards think that these guys might be legit, Would they just start dropping boulders on them? No. And I had already sort of established in world that there was no password. So I couldn't just say, what's the password, and make up a password when I just 10 minutes ago said, or 30 minutes, 40 minutes ago, that you don't know there's no password. So I can't suddenly make a password, say there's a password, because that wouldn't, that's not what I had established as lore, what was happening. So, but I didn't want to just attack them. And there wasn't, and again, they weren't, I would have, but it just didn't feel like they didn't hit my trigger. And it seemed in world, there's no password. What would they do? And then I'm like, code, whistle code. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a password. It's like, hey, in whistle code, saying to other dragon guys, what's going on? Why are you approaching? You shouldn't be here. And they had no response, or this response they had was gibberish. That felt legit to me. That's a way you could identify. In fact, it was maybe this is probably what I'm stealing it from, is The Last of Us, right? The Last of Us season 2. There's this whistling code that I just witnessed, so I'm sure that I'm stealing that, but why not, right? It's awesome. So yeah, so the whistle happened, and they didn't have the response, and they're like, "Oh, we have a cult member of us," and one of our members was a part of the Cult of the Dragon, but they were on the old guard, and her entire family had been of tieflings. Tieflings had been slaughtered by the cult, as with the new Severn regime in there. And so she, if the cult has a whistle code, wouldn't she know it? She was in the cult, but that has legitimacy. But I'm thinking, yeah, when Severn comes in and there are now factions, and you're going to keep the same code, I think that's a pretty big schism. And clearly, with her whole family being butchered, this is a military thing. So I think it was fair to change the code, and there was a perception check of some sort. And I'm like, yeah, you recognize it as a cult code, but it has been changed. It's gibberish to you, but it's the same. It's the same code. It's the same people. It's the same, basic system. They just rejiggered the code. Anyway, I think that was fair, and she didn't roll high enough, I think, for me to have a different opinion on that. I felt that was fair, and so anyway, they were walking into it. I gave them the chance with the whistle code. I thought that was legit in world. They didn't know the whistle code. They did silly things, and so I'm like, okay, well, they're going to get attacked. Now, I gave these guys rare magic items to start with, and it probably was a mistake. And I know you're not supposed to, but I wanted to do it purposely, because so many people say they don't want to play level 1, 2, and 3, and I didn't want to start at level 3. And I understand that, but I want to start you from 1. And I want to start from that very weak place. And I don't want to kill you, unless you deserve it. What is that cat doing? Anyway, so I thought that was fair, and I thought that was a good mix. So they came in, and the point being, with the big terrain pieces, and with the heads, and with the hills and all that, I was going to let them walk right through. If they were just nonchalant, not in costume, I was totally going to give it to them. I was going to let them go on through. But I'm glad I came up with this whistle code, because, again, at this moment, the players might think that's cheap. He got out around the password thing by giving a whistle code. We had to ask about the whistle code. But here's what they didn't do, because they had charmed some of these folks. They could have said, teach me the whistle code. He didn't. And they're going to see the whistle code in the future. So hopefully, and again, I think, and I guess maybe this is a stylistic thing. As DM, I don't want to talk to my players about the game. Like I said something this past week to one of the players that I didn't want to say. I said to him, I said, I would have let you walk right through it if you met this right criteria, because I was seeking acceptance and understanding that I wasn't just fucking them and creating a battle to justify my terrain. And again, I hadn't properly educated them in the things that they could ask about the terrain or inquire or see in the terrain that would give them gameplay advantages. So that's my fault. Or not my fault, but that's what I learned from this experience. And so, as I knew, doing D&D and looking to hit, I mean, I am looking to hit a higher level of experience for my players. I want to give my players a real good time. I don't just want to say, yeah, we're playing. I want it to be good D&D, and I think I'm doing good. I think I'm going to get a lot better, and the only way you do it is by doing it. And thankfully, I have a regular game, a regular group, and a regular place, all in person. Where I'm very much looking forward to getting better, but I think you have to go through what we're going through here, and go through what we have to do to figure out how do I switch this camera around, because I guess if I have everything attached. Anyway, I'm not going to do that with you now, and hopefully people don't inquire later, because I can figure it out. It's just I just got to get the right piece of, because I think I physically need to turn the camera around. I can't just invert the photo or in the shot in this, at least at the level I have. This is very rudimentary. Anyway, so secrets of train PCs to know, ask questions about trains. Okay, so they went through all the train stuff, and then they were basically going to walk into the Raider camp. The Raider camp in World was only 2 miles away. It was let's see. Entering Raider camp at 5 p.m. Let's make it 7. How about 7 p.m.? Still light. It's 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Is it daylight savings time? I don't know. I want there still to be light in the air. Entering Raider camp at 6 p.m. if no further delay. Right, so the PCs can enter the Raiders camp after the 2-hour walk at 6 p.m. Right? So if they take another rest, or they do this, or take that, that'll change. But if they just, we want to walk right in again. Now, what are we going to do? I don't want to talk about that yet. But I think that the combat worked well. Again, those rare items. I gave everybody one rare item of their choice. Because again, I think that was I knew it was out of my sort of inexperience, but I wanted them to be able to hit hard early and hit above their weight, because the things that weren't going to do damage could kill them very easily with a couple good rolls, right? So if I give them something rare and keep the things at the same level as they originally were planned at, they get pretty trounced. But the enemies do. But they've been doing some charming stuff, and so I have to find things that can't be charmed, or I'm going to be screwed. And that's just what you do. I gave them these things. You can't take it away and you can't nerf it, right? Like that's not cool. Will I let them have silvery barbs? I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. Maybe somebody already has it, but I think it's like what, a second level spell, so I got to be careful. Anyway, so they went through the terrain stuff. With the rare items, Leo was having a wall of fire and things got burned up. Not Leo, Oz is the character. Oz is the character, and he created a wall of flame. And Delmora, our aged dwarf woman, um, she's a cleric. She doesn't want to kill anybody, so she charms everybody. I have to really look at the staff because the way she's wielding the staff is ridiculous, of charming people and having them get the hell out of Dodge. And I'm sure she's having fun with it and whatever, but it's just so powerful that, see, I don't mind it much, but I think some of the other players are like, oh, she's just going to come in and do this every time, and she could only do it once a day. But I gotta look at the wording of it to make sure that the way she's using it is, kosher. And to be honest with you, I had something that had advantage on being charmed, and I wasn't rolling because I didn't know. I didn't read my stat blocks. I think I got to read the stat blocks of the monsters I'm intending to play, because they can't hit at their weight, even if it's low level. They can't hit at their punching weight if I'm not using their features to keep them alive. So I have to read those better. And there you go. Know your monsters better. Like you could jump into stuff or whatever it is, but when you're fighting, when you get into combat, and again, everybody wants to get combat going fast, right? And if you're a DM, then, I got to read about my monster. Boo, boo, boo. It's totally cool, but it slows things down. So I've been more about pacing than accuracy. And not that I'm wrong philosophically, because I think I actually want to do more narrative stuff within combat. But people are expecting something to punch back a little bit more. So when I gave them the rare items, and I still kept them at a low level as far as the enemies, so I need to maybe throw some harder things in there on the fly. So that I'm like, I have to either I have to have some people, just some things, randomy things to happen, or escalating things to happen, like, oh, here's the second wave, because I wasn't prepared to release different types of cultists yet, because I wanted them to have impact and I wanted them to have some time with these guys. But I think putting 1/8 and 1/4 things on the field isn't balanced with these guys, because they're just getting knocked out, which is actually, some of it is good, right? Because some of it has been, I'm swinging my axe and, oh, I got my second whatever, I got a second thing in and it's dead, and I'm like, that's satisfying. But if it's every time, so I got to put a little bit more oomph in it, so it continues to feel this good for the players, and so the other players aren't thinking, oh, she's going to do this every time, and I just clean up for it. And like, that doesn't feel great. You want it to play out differently. So we'll have to mix it up and keep people on the toes, and I'm seeing that more than I did before. The fact that combat is important. It's maybe more important than I thought, even narratively, because you're not going to feel like a badass if everything you're fighting is not. You want to take some lits. You want to, if you have a health potion, you want to have to take it every session or so, right? Like, I think you should get hit in the face, right? Boom, you remember, because you remember getting hit in the face, and then when you beat that person up, figuratively, you feel, you feel accomplished, badass. If you're like, oh, hey, look, there's some third graders over there, let's kick them in the groin, there's not too much to feel good about for that. Oh my God, I'm out of water. All right, I think those are the major things. Those are the things I learned. The terrain added to it, the minis added to it, just give it more significance for the players, which I think will have a big impact. Slow it down on my part as far as my monsters. Remember the backstories, and I'm taking notes of things like our Ruby, our barbarian. She was the former cultist. Will she be recognized? Right, that's the big question. And who is going to recognize her because she was a former cultist? And so there's some heavy hitters here. She wants to be recognized, and you're like. There's also the other heroes of Greenest that were part of the champion. They could be recognized as the heroes of Greenest, and therefore singled out as having killed some of the cultists. Let's see, or they. So you want to keep track of that and have that as going, because that's important to Ruby especially, and these two have noted it as well. I think it's these two. It could be Osmandius, but I think it's these two. Their quest is evolving, right? They're learning more. See, that's part of it. They learn some stuff about the cult. Now it's definitely the cult, but now they're debating: do we have enough evidence? Are coats enough? What about recovering some of the gold? These are things that they were looking for. Now they know it's the coat, and it's funny. They were debating whether the coats were enough as far as evidence of the cult of the dragon, and they ended up saying it's not. No, it's not enough. And one of them said, Rivik, the elf druid, he said, we need to get some better proof, like correspondence with one of the lieutenants, like Frulam Mondath, which is one of the lieutenants in this thing. And I'm actually making her more important in my version of Tyranny of Dragons than she is in the book version, because the book version, there's this blue half dragon that was the champion in Greenest that faced him down in a duel, perhaps. In my version, I got rid of that character completely. I might bring it back in some other incarnation, but there was too many characters and none of them had anything to do, and then they all sort of disappeared and it didn't really matter in the first place. And I'm like, that's not good. So Frulam Mondath was she was sort of the second to this blue guy, with a long name. And I made her him. So she was in charge of the camp. The black dragon worm speaker, Resmir, is she in the book, but I make her a male. The black half dragon remains to be the top dog in this camp as a wearer of the purple with the dragon mask, but not wearing it at this point. His right-hand person is Talus the White. So I put in Talus the White there. So I wanted to introduce the Resmir Talus as sort of like a couple type of thing, a power couple. But just very minorly. Oh, these are the big guys, but they're sort of in the shadows. And they're heavy in the Raiders camp. And is this Frulam Mondath, who is not a mask wearer, but she is just made a wearer of the purple. So she just got a promotion, and now she's being put the entire camp as the horde is now going to be moving out of the camp. And if you know the campaign, you know the campaign, but it doesn't really matter. The bigger bads are moving on. You get to see them a little bit. You will see them later throughout the campaign, and that's basically what I want to do. It like Talus comes in very near the end. Now you've met her, you've had interactions with her, and you're going to have more interactions with her before you see her again. Resmir, probably less, but he is not necessarily super interesting figure yet for me, and I don't want to get too. I want to get him into being a big boss at the end. It's maybe more fighty and I don't want to. We don't need to know him. I think if you're interested in Fulam and you know that he's the thing, and Talsa White is a little bit more interesting. I made her an African American queen. You know, like she and Fulam are very, very attractive, but correctly dressed for their, fighting style. And so Fulam, I'm making the local boss. So she's going to be the local boss instead of the blue dragon guy. And you see Talus, and then they sort of disappear. And then you'll see them a little bit more as it comes up. But I'm looking then to, instead of Resmir, I was like, I'm not that interested in Resmir. I want to give Talus a sub story here. And again, she is on one of the players has the Cult of the Dragon player has 3 people on her list. It's Resmir, Severin, the leader, and Talus the White. And I actually have constructed the campaign not to kill Talus the White in Horde of the Dragon Queen in the first half. She doesn't want to die, and she wants to play with the players. But will Ruby allow her to live? I don't know. So that's going to be up to the players to decide. But she does. She wants to. There's going to be a lot of people who want to dabble with these folks and negotiate horse trade, because I want to add that to it, because that sort of backstabbing sort of is politicking basically. And when we get into the second half, when we're basically going to be based out of Waterdeep, and we're going to be dealing with this great council, the Lord's Alliance, and the Harpers, and the dwarf guys, or whatever, a bunch of factions are going to come together, and the players are going to mediate this and do things, for them, sort of Mass Effect 2 style, a little bit. Like, are you going to, instead of, if you're a Mass Effect 2 player, each companion in your spaceship, you could do their side quests, and they will then help you out in the larger battle that you're going to do. Like, the more you do for them, the more they're going to do for you. So basically, the Waterdeep, the second half section, is the more you do for these different factions, the more they're going to do for you in this final battle with whoever it's going to be. And it'll literally make it easier, and literally, I think, give you more time. So we'll see how it is. Because if they don't hit those time things, bad things are going to happen, because I have to give them a legitimate amount of time. I have to give them bonuses. I haven't worked it out exactly how it's going to be, since that part really hasn't started yet. But whatever it is, I'm going to make it so it totally matters, everything that they do. And I'm going to keep note of it. But again, that's further down the line. Raiders camp, they got some gold. Hard evidence. Anyway, so it was funny because one of the players had said with Frulan Mondath, who is basically the small little boss here, the first big boss that they're going to face. They might. I don't think they'll face her this next week, but I think the week after they will. I don't know, maybe one more week, but she has to provide toughness. They'll be 3rd level by then, so this will be their first real boss to fight, unless they don't fight her. Maybe she isn't going to get killed. I always figured she was going to get killed, and I just wanted to build her enough so when they killed her, that we're killing someone that we've been hunting for. We don't necessarily know her. Maybe we'll get to know her a little. That's how get to know. Give Frulam more to do before they kill her? Because maybe they won't want to kill her, and maybe I will give them a reason to not kill her. That maybe will make it more fun and more interesting and more like, should we be killing all of these people that we're just slaughtering? Right? Because one of my players is a cleric, and one of her things is she doesn't want to kill anybody, and she's healing, and charming. She's doing that, and I want to test that because she also has a secret the desire, secret within herself, pushed way down, that she wants to kill all these dragon fuckers. So, give Frulam more to do before they kill her. Show who she is, and here's a why she Severin. She should be able to, because I think that I don't want Severin and the cult to be mindless bad guys that are just wanting to destroy the world because they want to destroy the world. I want to give people who are members of the cult, including people like Frulam, who are now aware of the purple. I want to give them the characters reason, like, why am I joining this cult? And I want to give them the parts of the cult that would make a real person become a part of it. So we're going to work on that. Okay, so yeah, give her more to do. So let's see, right? Show who she is, why she follows Severin, right? So gives her more backstory, makes it more tangible when they decide to take her down one way or the other, and also could give some explanations of why someone would devote their life to this cult. And maybe they make some sense because things are pretty bad for a lot of people in this area. And maybe dragons would run it better. And I think, honestly, that's maybe dragons would run it better. I'm going to create a bumper sticker that says that maybe dragons would run it better. It's hard to read. Bumper sticker. See, this is where the ideas come from. You go through what went well, what worked, what you could have given them more to do, what happened that was just like, whoops, I didn't know that was going to happen, and go through it. And then so how do you then take those ideas that you learned from last time and apply it forward? I think giving things more meaning, that it's not just a monster stat. I have to hit a number to kill it. Make it a character, make it a creature, give it something. So I haven't really been doing that. Cobalt, and I have minis, right? Like that goes a long way. Yeah, a cobalt. You know what cobalt? I could see it's a cobalt. Blah, blah, blah. But especially when you are killing the more humanoid folks, the talky parts are needed before the fighty parts to make it, like, again, so you have that feeling of you're doing something. You're taking out. Frulam has just been promoted, and they will get this evidence. This evidence that the players will get is literally a letter from Severin and Talus, from Resmir and Talus. And I think Resmir, as aware the purple would be a publicly known in the elite channels that's he's a main guy at the cult now. Him, Talus, yeah, they're maybe aware of her at some level, but she's not as important. But Rezmir writing a letter with his seal, and I have this letter. It's printed out with like handwriting font. I didn't want to write it just because everything would be in my handwriting, so that's not good. I weathered it with the tea and the coffee and all that type of stuff, the actual paper that I printed it on, and I, crumpled it up and all that type of stuff. And I put a seal on it, a seal from Rezmir's seal. And I used an actual, I should have that to show you. I have an actual seal, right? A Cult of the Dragon seal. So it's a wax seal that's a picture of a dragon, right? It's a dragon seal, literally a dragon in there. So it's black wax with the seal pushed in there in the hot wax of a dragon crest. And I have this purple and gold ribbon within the seal pressed into the wax. It looks great. Looks very official. And they're like, oh, here is an official document signed by Rezmir, a letter to this people, known this was definitely the Cult of the Dragon, and admits to a bunch of stuff in the letter. So it's like, this is the evidence we need. So when they kill Frulam, blah, 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 they will go to her desk or whatever with Frulam. They will pick up a letter off her desk, and that is the evidence that they have been seeking. And they went through not only the Raider camp, only one time, not twice. Again, for people who know Tyranny of Dragons, they will have gone through the Raider camp and then into the cave system, kill Frulam or deal with Frulam, and they will retrieve the treat or the proof, the evidence of it was the Cult of the Dragon doing the raids. They will retrieve some of the hoard of gold, and they will Leosin will be freed, and he will tell them to meet him up north because he has to go, and he leaves. Yeah, maybe I'll make him more seriously injured than they have. Like, he's really bad, and he's allergic to magic. A monk that's allergic to magic. He's allergic to the weave. Well, this is interesting. Here we go. I'll do this. Is Leosin allergic to the weave? Can't be healed by magic? Question mark. That could be fun because I maybe want Leosin to just teleport out, and it'll only take one person, and they can't heal him. He has to recuperate normally, and he's teleporting to his friend that's up north that they will come and meet him at, and maybe have an adventure on the way there, or maybe not. All right, I think that's it for me. That's it for Raiders Camp Part 1. We'll see about Part 2 next week, or throughout the week, really, as I'm going to do streams as I plan what I'm actually going to do in the Raider camp, and then set the stage for the caverns that are going to immediately follow the Raiders camp, most likely, unless the players decide to do something else. Otherwise, I'm going to end the stream. Have a lovely evening or morning or afternoon. Be well. Oh, I had a thing that I said last time. I don't remember what it was, but I'm going to do that too.